Time to bring in Mr. Dan Ives, Managing Director of Equity Research at Wedbush Securities. On a day like this, when it seems Powell is going to give us something to go with, at least to get us to stop selling, Dan, the question is, which in your list of coverage is the best buy right now?
My opinion, this tech sell-off, I think a lot of it is more fear-driven than fundamental. And I think that continues to be what we're talking about. I mean, in Asia, demand to supply is 15-1 for Blackwell. Last time we were there, it's 12-1. So when I look at semis, you look at names like Nvidia, you look at software in terms of some of the hyperscalers, you look at names, really across what I view as sort of the AI revolution names, Palantir among them, cybersecurity. I think these are the names that you own here playing the theme. The theme is not cracking. That's more perception.
Okay. What did you learn from GTC and Nvidia yesterday and Jensen Huang? Dan, please correct me if I'm wrong. It seemed like it was generally kind of an update on themes we mostly knew about and some pretty impressive numbers of how fast their chips are running. But was there anything additional?
Well, first of all, I think being at GTC in terms of our team there, I mean, the developer feedback, it's off the charts. So I think it all comes down to the use cases, and those are exploding. In terms of Jensen's keynote, I think it's really showing the holy grail is physical AI, autonomous robotics. Clearly talking about Rubin, some other sort of initiatives down the road, but look, they own AI when it comes to from a chip perspective. And I think that is sort of planting the flag, showing that, like, despite all the fears, some of the deep sea wounds and everything else, that's sort of Jensen out there, hearing from the godfather of AI himself saying, look, it's our world, everyone else paying rent.
Okay. All right. So Nvidia then, in terms of market leadership, I mean, this thing trades at a PEG ratio below 1. So the valuation argument is not a bearish one, right?
Oh,
bullish, if anything.
I'd say it's cheap. I mean, relative, like when you look at it, if you believe, and all of our work shows that we're in year 3 of a 10-year build out, Nvidia is cheap. I mean, I continue to think this is going to be a $4 trillion and eventually $5 trillion market cap. And that's our view. I think you got to take the noise out. I mean, you've talked about it over the years. I think in periods like this, you got to look at the winners and where they're trading and what are the names to own.
Dan Ives is making the rounds once again with his groundbreaking new prediction for Nvidia as it closes in on the $4 trillion market cap, which he predicts Nvidia will hit sooner than we all think. Ives talks about Jensen Huang's vision for Nvidia and how the stock will surprise holders and investors alike in 2025 before hitting $4 trillion very soon. Let's dive into Dan Ives' fascinating insights and see if he hits yet another home run, or has he lost the plot? Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
I think when you hear from the godfather of AI, Jensen, he's going to lay out what demand looks like for Blackwell. And ultimately, I mean, right now, we believe 15-1 demand to supply, in terms of what we see for Blackwell. It's about not just things like in terms of Rubin and others, physical AI, autonomous robotics. And I hear everything that Josh is saying, but in my opinion, we are in year 3 of an 8 to 10 year build out for the AI revolution. And that's why it's so front and center what we're going to hear from the godfather of AI, Jensen, in San Jose.
All right, so Nvidia shares have now pulled back notably, not as much as other mega cap technology stocks have, but a lot of it was driven by kind of the recent quarterly reports that have come out. The fundamentals are very much intact. Nobody's going to dispute that. But the question is relative to expectations, and that's where Nvidia ran into some problems with its most recent numbers. They're still growing, and by a rapid clip. But why are analysts then so much more bullish where they cannot meet exactly or exceed a lot the expectations that are out there?
I think it's a digestion period. I mean, I think we go through the next 4 quarters, you're going to ultimately see, I think street numbers are going to come up 15-20% over the next few years. I think buy side definitely is very negative here. But as this all plays out, I think it's a stock that has a 2 in front of it. Because the AI revolution, remember, despite DeepSeek in terms of everything we saw there, with some of the Cinderella story, in terms of some of the fears, in terms of Nvidia on the chip side, there's one chip in the world fueling this, it's Nvidia.
This is the cheapest you have been able to buy Nvidia stock since October of 2022, before the launch of ChatGPT. which set off the AI era. So Nvidia in the AI era, as the leading player in AI, has never been a better bargain than it is today. The stock is, the company has 52% growth expectations for this year. It's now a 20 forward PE. How insane is this market right now where they would rather buy Walmart at 30 some odd times earnings than this at 20? Walmart, if they're lucky, might be growing high single digits this year.
I'd say in 25 years doing this, I can name, so I count the times that have been almost the generational opportunities relative to what the stock's doing. That's where I think Nvidia is here.
I think this is a generational
I think
opportunity.
because my view is we're going to be talking about Nvidia 4 trillion, 5 trillion over the coming years, despite near term, in terms of political export controls, everything else. That's where this is going. We're talking about 2 trillion of AI capex next 3 years. There's only one red phone that you could call to get those chips.
As the industry experiences seismic shifts and unpredictability, Nvidia stands firm, ready to outshine the competition. Dan Ives delves into the data that underscores Nvidia's exceptional performance, with Q4 revenue soaring to $39.3 billion and a 114% year-over-year revenue increase. Nvidia's dominance in the AI chip sector is undeniable. CEO Jensen Huang's foresight on the exponential growth of agentic AI has set the stage for Nvidia to revolutionize the industry. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Dan, if that is the case, the people who spend the most money with Nvidia are hyperscalers. These are the most ginormous balance sheets in the history of corporate world. What does the CapEx picture change by? How can it be affected by a hypothetical weakening macro backdrop?
Yeah, and Joe brings up an awesome point. I just tell you, come back from Asia, it's actually accelerating. In terms of, we see about 70% of that CapEx actually accelerating because it's an arms race. In other words, you have $325 billion that's going to be spent by big tech, $100 billion year over year. You don't even have the sovereigns. You don't have the rest of the world. This is something where I actually think the industry is underestimating CapEx, and I get the point in terms of worries about macro. I actually see more and more big tech accelerating in terms of, because as this arms race plays out, whether it's M&A from we see Alphabet and others, no one is pausing. They're actually accelerating. I think that's going to be the key. And I think that's something you're going to hear from Jensen on stage.
Can I say one thing on this really quickly that I think is important? It's not definitely the case that CFOs are going to look at AI-related CapEx as a cost too high in a recession, because we're about to have an IPO. Klarna is coming public. Klarna fired everybody, and they're basically operating customer service on AI. That's the story that they're telling at their roadshow. This might be like the poster child for how much money a corporation can save in staffing costs using AI. So it's not a foregone conclusion that a weaker economy necessarily means slashing CapEx. They might actually look at this as a way to get through a recession.
Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game.
When you're
Now,
driving down the floor to go to the Final Four, this is the jump shot you take 100 times out of 100 times, buying Nvidia in this market at this multiple. And I'll give you two reasons. Really, from the macro standpoint, the survey data has eroded very quickly, historically quick. And that's the uncertainty that's within the market right now. That's the uncertainty that the administration's brought. But I think it's been so quick of an erosion that it's flushed out. And you're starting to see that. I think Atlanta Fed GDP is going to swing back for a number of reasons. And the other side is there's a bigger story. Yes, there's competition with the LLMs, and you're going to see new GPTs drop. It's going to be DeepSeek. It's going to be something else. There's going to be another instance. But it's bigger here where the robotics story. You're also looking at the software. There's no second. This is their competitive advantage. That's their moat. So this is where I want to buy.
Despite fluctuations in stock prices and looming competition, analysts remain optimistic about Nvidia's future. With heavyweights like Amazon and Microsoft in Nvidia's corner, the potential for sustained growth looks promising. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Dan, this is failing to impress investors. What do you think the market signal is sending you?
I mean, I think it's the wrong sort of take, because I think if you look at underlying demand, I mean, we've talked about it's 15-1, and we have a team that's there, and you're seeing demands accelerating. And I think when you look at laying out physical AI, Rubin, autonomous, robotics, I mean, this is essentially Jensen saying it's our world, everyone else paying rent when it comes to AI. And I just think this is a stock that's going to have a 2 in front of it over the next 9-12 months. And that continues to be the buying opportunity. I think the street is sort of misinterpreting what I believe is just so bullish in terms of the long-term outlook.
Right now it has a 1 in front of it, and it's down by close to 8% for the month of March. And Dan, I think for many people out there, it still hasn't recovered from the DeepSeek revelation of the last 2 months or so. There seems to be some scarring here. What did the CEO do to counter some of those concerns in his address yesterday?
I mean, I think it's really what Jensen's talking about is that every large company, as they're looking, whether it's GM to across enterprises, as they're looking to build out, there's only one chip doing that, and it's Nvidia. And I think that's something where I agree there is some still scarring from DeepSeek. I continue to view that ultimately that's bullish as the models get cheaper for the longer term sort of AI revolution thesis. But I think you're seeing CapEx accelerate. It's not diminishing. And I think that's something that we'll see as it plays out over earnings. But I think investors just need more and more confidence that there's not cracks, really in this AI thesis. And I think it's actually the opposite.
In a market filled with uncertainty, one thing remains crystal clear: Nvidia's potential knows no bounds. The journey to a $4 trillion market cap beckons, promising investors a ride of a lifetime. But what do you think? Share your thoughts down below. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.